Welcome to the TRSBA Power Rankings podcast. Commissioner Tim Wilshire here to go through the power rankings for today. It should be great to see who is going to take all these positions out. Let's start with the bottom. We're going to work our way up from 16 to 1. The bottom three teams, in my opinion, very easy to sort of work out and pick who the three worst teams are in the TRSBA. So all of those teams, as you could probably appreciate, are in the Western Conference. So that's interesting in itself. Let's start off looking at these particular rankings then. And here we go, number 16, we've got the LA Pens. Now the key players, they got the number 1 and the number 2 pick in the 2021 TRSBA draft in Kate Cunningham and Jalen Green. So those guys are the key. Very hard to predict rookie stats. Very, very difficult indeed. I guess if we were to look at their stats, we could probably estimate that Kate might get about 26 fantasy points a game and about just over 20 fantasy points a game for Jalen Green. We expect to see a huge improvement in the play of Keldon Johnson now that DeMar DeRozan's out of San Antonio. We expect Keldon to get about 25 fantasy points a game. Will be this team's probably second best player. Also, what are the minutes going to be like for Time Lord or the Rock DJ? The Rock DJ, Robbie Williams. Dylan Brooks, what's he going to do? Is he still going to be around? What's his performance going to be? The depth is not there. It's going to be a very interesting year for the LA Pens. Moving on to team 15, we've got the New Orleans Hurricanes. Now, they selected number 2 and number 3 in the 2020 TRSBA draft. They ended up with LaMelo Ball, which was the Rookie of the Year choice, and James Wiseman, which was maybe not so much a wise choice at the moment, but we'll see what happens going forward with him. We predict that he will get 32 fantasy points a game and be about 32nd. Maximum Derek, we think he's going to have a breakout year of about 28 fantasy points a game. He's going to be their second best player. How many games will John Wall miss? Is he over the hill? Then we look at some of the depth. We look at the ones that they got, Jordan Clarkson in free agency, DeAndre Hunter, I think, and Tim Hardaway Jr. Will anyone step up? And the question we always ask is, will Wiseman be benched? So that's the New Orleans Hurricanes. Number 14 is the Golden State Snipers. Goose is the best player on the Snipers, Edwards. He will get around about 30 fantasy points a game, and it should be around about a top 40 player. Most improved candidate, about 28 fantasy points a game expected from a Darius Garland. And the problem with this team is Jared Allen, the third best player, and he will get about 24, 25 fantasy points a game. We've got Mason Plumlee as a veteran who won't die, but maybe he dies next season. Hui Hachimura, one player that I don't like, but there's lots of guys that may step up in future years, but depth is a problem for this team right now. So they're the bottom three teams. They were quite straightforward. The LA Pens, the New Orleans Hurricanes, and the Golden State Snipers. Now, team 13, this is a bit of a drum roll here. And this may change. This may change depending on what this particular team decides to do. But as of right now, the number 13 team is the Chicago Predators. Now you say, what? Chicago Predators, they've got some superstars, but put a roster together, sign some free agents, for fuck's sake. Come on, make some trades. Joel Embiid's a monster. He will rank 4. Bradley Beal, maybe 6. PG-13 is going to have probably a big year. So you've got the top 3 guys that are really, really good. And then there's obviously a bit of a break off from there. The depth is certainly not there. This reminds me of the Lions team from last year. An injury will just really hurt this team badly. This rating, as I said, could change if they decide to keep their shit together. If we just have a look at at basically their team, just see if I can bring their team up just so we can have a look at those projections for the Predators. See if we can have a look at what we've got here. At the moment, there's not a lot there. You've got Paul George projected to get about 37 fantasy points a game as well. Levine will be good as well in there. So they've got a good starting five. But after that, Oladipo, he's out for 41 games. Kira Lewis, his seventh best player. Moses Moody, stuck on Golden State. And Sekou Doucouré. So that's a very, very ugly sort of team. Now let's look at the Cleveland Jaguars. Now, expected that this team won't do too well this year unless a few players decide to step up. So we'll have a look at the top. We know that the two top players, we've got Rudy Gobert and CJ McCollum, just above the 30 fantasy points option, ranked 39 and ranked 40 in the league. Third spot is up for anybody's guess at the moment. I don't know who that will be at the moment. I'm thinking PJ Washington might get close to 24 fantasy points a game, or Jakob Poeltl. Those are the guys that are there. Kyle Kuzma should break out, perhaps as well. So there are some guys there. We don't know how good Derek Schroeder will be, or Terrence Mann, or TJ McConnell, Josh Jackson, Devin Vassell. There's a lot of guys that with a lot of opportunities. Can they step up is the serious question for the next year for the Jags, who have kept their 2022 pick. The 11th team, let's have a look at the 11th team. We've got the New York Lions. New York Lions, the team has dropped off a lot from the four-time TRSBA champions, the best player being Anthony Davis. He's coming off an injury. He's projected to be 24th. That's not big compared to what he's done in previous years. Devin Booker, he needs to get to another level. He seems to be plateauing at a fantasy level at the moment. A better player than maybe when he's a fantasy player. DeRozan and Wiggins, they are the X factors, and both need to be top 70 players. I think Ken Suggs still the Rookie of the Year. And is the depth lacking? What are we expecting from Blake Griffin and Derrick Rose? Very, very interesting year ahead for the New York Lions. And we move on to the San Francisco Tigers. Now, this team has probably improved a little bit and they moved up the rankings slightly, but still ranked 10th in this tough TRSBA league. Two best players, no doubt, De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. Both guys are ranked in the top 20 in the TRSBA. We've also got the briefcase, which is Tyrese Halliburton. He was the steal of the 2020 TRSBA draft. He was phenomenal in his rookie season. Lonzo Ball, he's the third team, I guess, in the NBA in 3 years. So he's gone from the Lakers to the Pellies to the Bulls. Can he follow the elevation of his brother? His brother is probably going to be a north of 30 fantasy points a game player. We're projecting Lonzo to be certainly a better category league player than points, which is about 25, 26 fantasy points a game is what we're expecting on a Chicago team that's got a very good starting five. Jonathan Isaac, we don't know what to expect with him. Probably 22, 23 fantasy points a game is a safe bet. The depth is suspect here. We've got Wendell Carter Jr., we've got Mitch Robinson, and we've got Obi-Wan Toppin. Number 9, the New England Red Devils. Now, New England Red Devils, I wanted to play a bit of a clip here because one of my favourite players in the TRSBA is the one Isaiah Stewart, and he's got the nickname Al Stewart. So,
Mr. Stewart? Well, who the hell else do you think it'd be? Get in here, you pair of flaming glass.
There we go. So that's the flaming glass. Al Stewart. So we've got some veterans on this team. We've got Gordon Hayward. We've got Porzingis, probably will lead the team in fantasy production. They're always ultra deep. They're always very deeper than the 9 or 10 players that they play. Rozier, also an X-Factor, had probably a really, really good year last year. Probably expecting to be in the top 60. How many more trades are we going to see with 2021? So by the time we get around to the 2021 year, are we going to see a completely different team from the New England Red Devils? That's the thing there with that. Number 8, the Washington Wolfhounds. So we've got Vooch, we've got Russell Westbrook, and we've got Josh Giddey. Some really good faces there. Vooch is now the best player on that team. We're expecting a huge reduction in stats from what used to be the most valuable player in points leagues in Russell Westbrook. Has probably plateaued down outside maybe even the top 20, top 30. Tobias Harris and Colin Sexton are big-time scorers. They are big-time players. Good options there as well. Josh Giddey, we're expecting to probably be all rookie. I mean, I think he will. And what will Barnesy do this year? Harrison Barnes. What will he be up to in 2022? The Orange County double-doubles. Now, here's some of their players here on screen. We've got Luca Donkey, projected to be the number 3 player in the TRSBA. He should be definitely there. He's an outstanding player and probably will be a top 5 player for the next 10 years. Probably the guard version of a Nowitzki type player. He's just really a great sort of overall player that does everything, a great competitor, and one day he may win a championship, but not for the next 5 years, I reckon. Then we've got Kyrie Irving, who fantasy circles could have been done about 2 or 3 years ago, but has come back, is huge, is getting big stats, even with a net sort of with 3 big players there. So that's quite impressive for Kyrie Irving. Then you've got JV, JC, J. Rue. So some good players there. JV in a good set position there. We'll get a lot of open dunks. And also JC the Baptist needs to have more than the 29 minutes a game that he had last year. And also J. Rue Holiday is an all-time defender and great fantasy player as well. Can they find some bench players that need? Certainly the bench is weak. That's where it needs improvement. And is Kevin Love, is he still even in the league at the moment? This guy used to be an all-NBA type player once upon a time. Number 6, the Alabama Wild Boars. Now, this team decided, okay, we've got Jason Tatum, and we've got an option to get the Greek Freak. What do? We go get the Greek Freak to play alongside a Kevin Durant. And also they've got Middleton and Ingram. So these are 4 front court powerhouses, absolute powerhouses. And I'm sure Middleton's playing a lot of shooting guard for this team. That's amazing. You've also got Donovan Mitchell playing the point. So he's exceptional. Off the bench, you've got Bogdan Bogdanovic and the wiki Chris Boucher. And they'll add some bench punch power. They'll contend if they're healthy, but they need to consider their depth past that 7th and 8th spot. It's getting tough at the top, and you'll see, these top 5 teams have got something probably even better than what we're seeing for this number 6 team. So it's going to be competitive at the top, that's for sure. And don't count the Alabama Wild Boars out, especially if we get some injuries from the other teams or some poor playing. The Tampa Bay Butchers at ranked number 5. Karl Anthony Towns, probably to rank about 8th for around about 40 fantasy points a game. Buckets, probably about a top 20 all-around game. This team is very deep. They've got so long. I had a look at their list. You got Ben Simmons as their 6th best player. I mean, that's pretty crazy when a guy could get about 27, 28 fantasy points a game. DeJounte Murray could get over 30 fantasy points a game this year. The depth is looking good with Miles Bridges and Sadiq Bey getting, some good minutes. You've got the Kerner and the Crucifix. I mean, you've got 2 big powerhouse centers there. Whether they both start or not, I don't know. Maybe the Crucifix can play the power forward position. But, that's pretty amazing stuff that you've got those 2 guys. I think they even used to have, so they are an amazing team. They're looking very tough and always a contender, certainly to come out of the East, certainly to win it all. Then we've got the North Carolina Brown Cows, and JB is going, what are we saying here? What the fuck? These guys are ranked number 4 after they were ranked number 12 last year. Who's this guy sleeping with to be able to get this sort of power ranking. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is the highest ranked team in the East at the moment. How long will that stay for? We don't know. But here's a team that I ranked the worst in the East, going from the worst to the best in the East. This is quite a turnaround, but let's have a look at why this happened. Julius Randle and Jeremy Grant, they bucked the projections in a big way last year. They were outstanding. And the projections are going to keep saying that they will be again in 2022. The interesting thing is that, this could probably fall. These projections, could only do one thing to JB, they could fall on his ass. At the end of the day, you've got Kemba Walker, Jaren Jackson, and D'Lo Russell, who those three players are overrated in my opinion. But they are projected to have monster years, which I can't believe. Kemba Walker, remember, an all-star starter. Will he come back to a 30 fantasy points a game form in New York? Maybe. Jaren Jackson Jr., get a whole season under his belt. Will he be the best player in Memphis, or at least second behind Ja Morant? D'Lo Russell, is he really that good? Is he really a 28 fantasy points a game player? Jaylen Brown, we know, is a top 30 TRSBA player as well. So Holmes and Barrett, also these guys, don't forget about their greatness. That's adding to the depth. And is Randall going to be able to back it up with some more help? Will he be able to spin doctor his way to another good season? So yeah, we've got a very, very, very good team there in the North Carolina Brown Cows, and bit of Cows. Number 3, the Toronto Fire. We've got the MVP. It's projected to be number 1 again in the league. He's projected to be, he's projected. Yeah, if you don't know that reference, Big Chungus is an all reference to basically Nikola Jokic does absolutely everything and used to be a bit chunky, so the Big Chungus. And then we've got Jimmy Harden. He's the second best player to have ranked, and have him ranked number 7th on your team. That's pretty amazing. Then you've got LeBron. Can LeBron pull out another year? LeBron. I think he can. I think he's got one more big year in him, and no doubt he'll be an X factor for this team. If he does well, this team could easily win. The there's LeBron. Yeah, LeBron James. Okay, so then we've got Brogdon and Dinwiddie, underrated backcourt. We've got Patrick Williams and Lou Dort, amongst others on the bench. I like Brogdon. I like Dinwiddie. I think these guys are underrated, and I think the Toronto Flyers have got a big chance, and it's tough out there in the West. Okay, countdown to the already sort of preempted this, but the Utah Saints at number 2 again, I think for the second year in a row. We've got Zion to be ranked the 5th and to score 30 points a game, probably get over 40 fantasy points a game as well. We've got a very good guard trio in Ja Morant. We've got these guys will be top 30 SGA and Trae Young. Mega Porter Jr. and Ayton are the X factors. So there's 6 really solid players. They are the youngest team in the TRSBA, a bee's dick away from the number 1 ranking. Cousin Kev, Evan Mobley, OG Anunoby, adding just a massive amount of depth. This is going to be a very hard team for any team to beat if they were healthy and playing how they should be playing. This is dangerous, and 22 years of age, it's a young team there. That is a very, very young squad. A very young squad indeed. So obviously we're going to get to the number 1 team. Number 1 team, and that is the number one team in the TRSBA is the Death Valley Barbarians. They have the top three players at 9, 10, and 11, Tatum, Steph, and Dame. And Siakam and Bam, these guys appear to be mainstays in the starting lineup, not traded, and they're keeping their spots. I don't think he's going to trade these guys. There's always lots of activity in the off season, and there's really good cap management from the president, Van Vliet and Karl. Could be even top 50 players at number 6 and 7 on the team. Front court depth is the weakness that I'm seeing at the moment. I'm seeing a lot of great guards. I'm seeing fantastic amount of guards, but yeah. Just recapping some of this stuff here. Saints are the youngest team in the league. The LA Pens the second youngest, Snipers third youngest. The Lions are the oldest, 28 years of age. The Cleveland Jaguars are the third oldest now. Where does this team rank? Death Valley, 26.3 years of age average, and they're probably about 10th when it comes to age. They still got some veterans there like Lillard and Curry to mix in with some really good younger talent. So that's been the TRSBA Power Rankings. And if you want any sort of more details on some of the stats, I can always provide you with what we've got. As far as the from Monsters Basketball Monster. But yeah, if we sort of look at those teams through there, we can see that we can see why they are the best. Utah, that's going to be very competitive. The Toronto, those three teams at the top are going to be great. North Carolina Brown Cows, can they do it? Can they win the East? Can they get back there? They have won top championships before. Tampa Bay Butchers, they're going to be tough. And the Alabama Boars. OC double-doubles, they were ranked 4th last year, now down to 7th. They haven't done much to improve their team. They passed on Josh Giddey, so that's interesting. The Wolfhounds, again, need probably a bit more in order to get to the next level. Dan is always right about there. We've got the San Francisco Tigers, the New York Lions, Cleveland Jaguars, in a world of pain maybe this year. We'll see what happens, hopefully not. But, you know, there's a chance that they get that number 1 pick or a top 3 pick. Chicago Predators, they could be good if they can pull their shit together. Snipers, Hurricanes. And if you look at the Hurricanes there, we're expecting a big year from basically Derek White. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, so Maximum Derek, he's going to have a big year, and LaMelo Ball, all of that sort of stuff. I think they're going to have a good. And then the LA Pens, how will these 2 rookies perform? How will Keldon Johnson go? So anyway, that's been the TRSBA Power Rankings. I hope that's been fun. Thank you very much, and I'd like to get some feedback. That's been it.